I was blown away by Euphoria's finale. My God, I needed to get on here and talk about it. I mean, what a complete tonal change up from the rest of the season. After a super lackluster and kind of depraved season 3, Euphoria wrapped up in a way that was quiet, action heavy, emotional, and beautiful all at the same time. The finale starts out with an action sequence that is just visually on a different level than the rest of the show. You know, Rue tries to escape this gang, gets lassoed. Granted, the show always looked good. That was never a problem I had with it, but you can tell Sam Levinson just locked in when it came to this finale. He had such a clear and distinct vision for where these characters should end up. And I'm just wondering where this was the rest of the season. You know, I've always said that when Euphoria focuses up and locks in on Rue's emotional arc and character, that's when it's at its best. You know, it's specifically Rue's relationship with Ollie that is, in my opinion, the strongest part of the show. One of my favorite episodes was that COVID episode where most of it is just them having a conversation at a diner. So to have the final moments of the show focus around that relationship is exactly the kind of thing I would have asked for. And I think a key reason why the finale is as good as it is because it does drop all those other storylines that weren't as interesting or I had a lot of problems with. You know, the Nate and Cassie thing that was just super irritating to watch the entire season wrapped up a few episodes ago, setting the table to focus on the conclusion of Rue's story, and man, they did not hold back. Going into this episode, I was really just not expecting any kind of satisfying conclusion. I didn't know if it was going to be a series finale or they're going to drag it on for another season. But as I was sitting there and watching it, for the first 45 minutes of this episode, I couldn't take my eyes away. You know, it just goes kind of beat for beat, wrapping up every single storyline in a neat bow, similar to a way that, my God, I never thought I'd make this comparison, Breaking Bad's finale did. It didn't let a single thing go. It's definitely not a coincidence that this finale has very minimal B storylines. Like, it really doesn't give the time of day to any characters that were pissing me off all season, which, hey, perfect for me. I just need to talk about that moment, you know, where Rue's on the couch. After getting away with the most recent scheme barely with her life, she wakes up on the couch at Ollie's place, watches the news and sees that Fezco escaped from jail, so she hops in the car to go rescue him, which immediately should set off alarm bells if you know anything about the production of the show, because, you know, I hate to be the guy to tell you this, but the actor's dead, so you know that's not gonna happen. But then as she's driving back through her past, back to her hometown, back to, you know, the room where all this began, she starts seeing visions of her younger self, her first interaction with Jules. And you're starting to think kind of on a meta level like, oh shit, are they gonna do some kind of like AI Angus Cloud thing to bring him back? So now you're really wondering what the hell's going on, but thankfully it's a lot more tasteful than that. So she manages to dodge the cops, breaks into her own house, she sees her mom reaches out, she reaches back, and you really start to get the picture of where this episode is going when it starts showing us shots of her struggling to breathe. She's struggling, you know, she's taking shallow breaths. Things get a little more kind of experiential. Things get a little more exaggerated. And as the sequence goes on, you realize you're not watching the reality of the situation. You're watching what Rue is feeling in her final moments. It was just really well done, honestly. It was one of those situations where I came up with like, oh, hey, this is a cool idea of how this sequence could go, but they would never do that. That's way too bold and way too crazy. And then the show did exactly what I was thinking, which, like, damn. It's funny because on paper, if you said that the final episode would be just Rue overdosing and everybody reacting to that, I think that that sounds like an unsatisfying finale, but it's the way that it's executed here that really makes it feel like the conclusion of this emotional journey. So that's the first half of this episode, and then the back half is just Ollie becoming the Punisher, which is sick and leads to a really awesome standoff between himself and Alamo Brown that sends that character out in a way that is as legendary as that performance demanded. We finally wrap up Cassie's story with a brief interaction with her, which ends with a nice pan out of her in her little dollhouse crying all by herself. Seems like a fitting end for that character. All this excitement's going on. We're gearing up for a final confrontation, which ends up being a bloodbath. Meanwhile, Jules is still painting. All right, glad we caught up with that character. So after this beautiful send-off to Zendaya's character, I'm immediately reminded, oh yeah, right, I hate every other character on this show, which I guess is an exaggeration. I mean, Alamo Brown is such a powerhouse of a character. I guess I don't mind where Maddie ended up, and I don't mind seeing her, but I was very surprised that this finale really centered around Ollie. I mean, that standoff at the strip club was nothing short of fucking incredible start to finish. It reminded me of like that standoff scene in Inglourious Bastards. I mean, long story short, Alamo Brown goes out like a legend. Ollie gets a nice, simple, poignant ending that addresses his next steps after Rue's death, and honestly, it got me emotional, which, looking at the rest of this season, is fucking baffling to me. How did it do that? I have never seen a season of TV, I don't think, that has been able to just pull itself together for a final episode like this. That being said, when I first clicked on the episode and saw it was going to be another 2-hour finale, I was like, oh my god! How many times can we keep doing this? So I was getting some Stranger Things type vibes beforehand, but what a weird, wholesome curveball for this otherwise depraved and gross show. So in the end, when all said and done, Euphoria is a complicated beast. I don't think its highs quite make up for its lows, but in isolation, it has some incredible sequences and moments of genuine artistry that you don't see often. I think the show maybe got too big for its own good. It has such a unique style and vision that, for the most part, didn't click with me, but I feel like if this resonates with you, it'll be like one of your favorite things ever. So this finale really floored me, but does this change my mind on the rest of the season leading up to it? No. So it leaves us with the question of, in the end, is this show gross or beautiful? And I think it's both. It's a frustrating watching experience because of the severe tonal whiplash from scene to scene, character to character, but I'm really happy with how this show was able to find its emotional core in its final moments. So anyway, I just wanted to address this real quick, considering my last video on it was so negative. Didn't quite feel representative for how I now feel about the show as a whole. But did you see the final episode of Euphoria? Let me know. Check out my other video talking about the rest of the season if you're interested. Check out my other stuff, and I'll see you next time.